No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we welcome you to the Illegal Curve post-game show, where tonight teams with the nickname of Jets laid a beating on teams from the Windy City of Chicago. A combined score of 38-12 when you combine what the New York Jets did to the Chicago Bears and what the Winnipeg Jets did to the Chicago Blackhawks with tonight's 7-2 victory by the Jets. And then you factor in the New York Jets earlier today, 31-10 victory over the Chicago Bears. I say good evening to Mr. Dave Manouk, joining us from his alternate location. We gave Ezzy the night off because you don't want to get the grumpy bear grumpier. That's scary for all of us, but Ezzy will be back in time for Tuesday's post-game show. David, good to see you. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Oh, I'm a little disappointed, Drew. I was kind of expecting you to go with you get a goal, you get a goal, you get a goal, you get 2 goals, and you get 2 goals, given, of course, that Oprah's show was filmed in Chicago, and it seemed like everyone was getting goals tonight in Chicago. So, it was an interesting game. It really has. I wrote about it in the pregame report. It's like a tale of two cities right now. You know, given when Chicago came to Winnipeg, I think it was November 4th. Maybe no, it might not have been November 4th, but whatever it was, earlier in the month, they were feeling good about themselves. The Jets were feeling good about themselves, and then since that time, the Jets have continued to pile up wins. Chicago has gone completely the other way, and they just continue to lose. I was listening to the Chicago broadcast when I was in my car for a little bit, and I heard them say that Chicago's given up the 8 straight games now. Chicago's given up a goal. So any illusions that, you know, when we talked about it on the broadcast on Saturday, Drew, you know, was it just kind of an illusion? Well, it appears that it was just an illusion. So I think things have settled in Chicago, and you're seeing the real Blackhawks.
Yeah, I mean, this was a one-sided contest, and it should be a one-sided contest. I mean, that's sort of what, really what I was thinking as I was watching this game. You know, the Blackhawks are a bad hockey team. We know that. We've talked about that. We talked about on yesterday's Illegal Curve hockey show with Charlie Rumiliotis. You know, when I got a name right, it's sort of hit or miss if I can get Charlie's name right. But that time I nailed it. We talked about it earlier in the year when the Jets faced the Blackhawks, and they were playing better at the time the Blackhawks were. This is a bad hockey team. You see it in tonight's game. Not to take anything away from the Winnipeg Jets, because the Jets did what good teams do to bad teams, or what good teams should do to bad teams. And there's been plenty of times, the Jets in previous incarnations, or previous seasons, and other teams throughout the league where they struggle sometimes with teams that are below them, and they toy with them. This wasn't the Jets toying with them. It took them most of the first period to get it going, and had the goal that Chicago scored not been disallowed, it might have resulted in a bit of a different tenor to the game. But it was offside by definition of the rule, so good on the Jets and good on video coach Matt Prefontaine from calling it and getting the challenge out there and succeeding on the challenge. But after the Jets opened the scoring and it was 1-0, and then especially after it was 2-0. This was just men against boys. This was the varsity against the freshmen. This was just not a competitive hockey game, and that's the killer instinct that you want to see. I hear from people, are the Jets for real? And people say, well, look at some of their advanced metrics. They're not that good. They're playing above their heads. Whatever. That's a matter of opinion that'll play itself out over the course of the rest of the year. But whatever it is, if the Jets themselves consider themselves a good team, and I'm sure they do in that dressing room, they did what they're supposed to do tonight against a weaker opponent. And that, Dave, in and of itself is a significant sign where they can impose their will and just say, no, you're not going to skate with us. You're not going to mess. You're not going to play with us tonight.
Well, I mean, I highlighted that comment by KG3, which kind of is the
Yeah.
one you were just making as you concluded your statement there, Drew.
Yeah.
And I agree. That's one of the things you wanted to see. And most, I think, importantly for the Winnipeg Jets is the fact that who was contributing tonight? It was your third and fourth lines. And your third and fourth lines, and obviously your first and second lines got going eventually. But I mean, Jansen Harkins, Saku Manalainen. I mean, those are the guys who are rolling. And so, boy, Drew getting a grin. I'm worried about that.
No,
I'm like,
it's fine. Rob Mahoney had a funny comment that he thinks I went to St. Paul's, and I assure you, Rob, I did not go to St. Paul's. I mean, that there was a funny comment. He was saying that I was trying out to play lacrosse or something, but it was a funny line.
Got it. Okay, yeah. Sorry for interrupting my own thought there, but
yes.
I pulled an Ezzy. But anyways, I just think that, and we're seeing that comment resonate now in the chat as I was highlighting it while you were speaking. Was the idea that how many people were talking about the contributions of the third and the fourth lines. And one of the most notable plays I thought, and I don't remember the exact point of the game where the Jets were up 4-2, 5-2, and the third line was buzzing and they were attacking. And I was like, they're not sitting back. They're just, and that was one of the things you kind of look, they're not trying to embarrass Chicago, but they're not just going into a defensive shell and they're just continuing to skate. And I thought that was really impressive by the Winnipeg Jets, specifically, like I said, that third line who you can't not like that composition, right? They really seem to have gelled together. And I've talked about, obviously, the fact that Eyssimont and Harkins have some time together with the Moose this season. And I think, again, you're seeing a lot of motivation. Guys don't want to come out of the lineup. And, I think Mike McIntyre, the Winnipeg Free Press, asked the question of Rick Bowness of that idea that, hey, are guys hearing footsteps? Like when guys are coming back in the lineup, hey, I don't want to be taken out, and what kind of pressure that can do. And, Rick Bowness, as he's a veteran coach, he sidestepped it a little bit. But at the same time, guys, look, now David Gustafsson, before we get going, David Gustafsson obviously comes out because he was dealing with something, clearly, and they said he was going to be a game time decision. So he didn't play. Sam Gagner was a healthy scratch. So in comes Dominic Toninato, in comes Morgan Barron, who we didn't even think, again, earlier, it was a ways away. And all of a sudden he's potentially for Tuesday. And now he's a game time decision for the game. So Morgan Barron comes back in. I think this was his first game since October 30th, had 2 assists. They took it away. It's kind of inexplicable on that. And I know we're going to get into it. I still don't really understand it because DeMello has the puck in the Jet zone. He gets it up to Morrissey, who gets it along the wall to Barron, who appears, and again, it's hard to see because of the angle, who appears to push the puck ahead to Saku Manalainen. And I'm like, okay, well, and then so for the longest time it read Manalainen's goal from Barron. And then they removed the assist. And I thought, well, they've got to give Morrissey an assist. And then they removed Barron's assist, gave the primary to Morrissey and the secondary to DeMello. So that's a little bit unusual. I'm not certain because I couldn't see how the puck would have been propelled to Manalainen without what Barron did. So maybe NHL.com will get that rectified. But regardless, the fact is that you had all of these guys jumping into the lineup and knowing that now had David Gustafsson been okay and they brought Morgan Barron back into the lineup, let's say presumably for Sam Gagner, then what happens? Well, you've still got Harkins and Eyssimont, and you're thinking, well, how are you taking them out? Right now, Jansen Harkins, 2 straight goals with a game. Mikey Eyssimont contributing. So again, that's a good problem if you're the Winnipeg Jets to have, is to have a third and fourth line that are forcing you to say, I don't know who I'm taking out of the lineup because all of them are doing. And the funny part is, I actually would have thought Saku Manalainen would have been probably the low man on that totem pole.
And he comes out today.
And then he comes through and he has a big game. Yeah. So it's, again, maybe that's the idea that he knows that guys are coming back. He's got to, it's not a guarantee. So because we know the big boys aren't coming out. So
we talked about that we talked about that question about Saku Manalainen and his assuredness on the roster yesterday with Murat, and that's what we all said, that he was the player who had been the most underwhelming as of recent. His game hadn't stood out as much as it had sort of maybe in the first few games of the year, and he'd been struggling, I think, and today he gets 2 goals. It's, you can, get a 2-goal game. You're going to stay in the lineup. I don't have to, I don't think you need to be the world's greatest hockey coach to sort of make that leap. That, if you're performing like that, you're going to stay in the lineup. You're doing good things. Your coach is going to feel good about you. And that's what you saw tonight. This is a Jets team, to your point, Dave. The competition right now is internal. And that's important because, you want to win. And so you want to stay in the lineup. So to do both things, what do? Is you have to give a little bit extra. You got to give a 5 or 10% more because the player right behind you is trying to get into the lineup. He's trying to knock you off your peg. He's trying to take your spot in the roster. He wants to be, that regular. He wants to take advantage of that opportunity like Mikey Eyssimont has been doing as of late. And so all these guys see that. Jansen Harkins, he wants to stay in the lineup. 2 straight games with a goal for him. These guys are pushing each other, especially in the bottom of the lineup. And then the players at the top of the lineup, well, they're not just coasting on their laurels either. They're getting going as well because they're going to get theirs. They're going to get theirs eventually. There's just too much talent there with Connor and Dubois and Scheifele and blah, blah, blah. And never mind, Nikolai Ehlers still not in the lineup. So when the bottom of the roster is competing and the top of the roster is going to do what they're going to do, then good things are going to eventually happen all the way through. And that's what you saw tonight in the Winnipeg Jets, just really taking no mercy on their opponent and not sitting back. And, for a long time in Dallas, if you'd ask fans of the Dallas Stars, what didn't they like about Rick Bowness is that maybe they sat back a little bit too much. They didn't necessarily have that killer instinct. Counterpoint, I would say, is that they were very good at shutting games down, which the Jets have struggled at so far this year, at least in the last week with all the empty net goals. But, we don't need to rehash the drama that was surrounding the one in Dallas, of course. But, if you keep scoring goals, you don't have to worry about giving up the lead when you're up 7-2. Then no one's pulling the goalie when you're down 5 goals. It's just not going to happen. And that's what the Jets get tonight. This is just a good team. I mean, they are what they are right now. Color me, I was skeptical about being able to say that, but they appear to be a good hockey team. Are they an elite hockey team? I don't think that they're at that stage yet. I don't think that I wouldn't put them among the elite in the league. But right now they appear to be, a good to pretty good hockey team. And guess what? In the playoffs and in the season, strange things happen to some of those teams. And then you maybe get back Nikolai Ehlers. And maybe if you're still, a good to pretty good to maybe even better than that hockey team come trade deadline time, maybe you shore up the roster again. And all of a sudden, a team that looks to be good to pretty good might get to move into that elite conversation. The Jets can only control what they can control. And right now, they're performing, very well. They're performing very well as of late. Since that West Coast road trip where they were fortunate to get the points that they did, they've just been, for the most part, in control of a lot of the games that they're playing. And you can see the confidence building, and you can see that this is what they expect of themselves. I think it was Rick Bowness a few weeks ago, maybe after one win. I don't remember which win it exactly was, but he said something like, the guys in this room are just learning and just realizing how good they can actually be. And you see that, and you see that, and you see that. You could think back to that, the game against Carolina, even though it went into overtime and it had the really disappointing 3 goals given up. Well, you did that to the Carolina Hurricanes to be up by those 3 goals. Carolina Hurricanes are considered one of the, upper echelon teams in this league. The game against Minnesota, well, obviously that was a stinkeroo. No disputing that. It happens to everybody. How do you respond? Well, you saw how they responded in Dallas, where, if it wasn't for some, funny officiating, the Jets probably get 2 points clean, but they get it in overtime anyways. Then you go into Chicago, the end of a road trip. Maybe it's a bit of a trap game. You're looking ahead to Tuesday, where you have the defending Stanley Cup champions coming into town in Colorado. Maybe you're going to overlook the Blackhawks. Well, the Jets didn't overlook the Blackhawks. The Jets looked down on the Blackhawks, and they performed that way and said, you're lesser than we are, and we're going to show that you are lesser than us. And that's what resulted in tonight's 7-2 victory by the Winnipeg Jets over the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's get into it, Dave. It's the Betway game recap brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are we waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. We mentioned that the Blackhawks got the first goal that hit some mesh called back. So it's 0-0, and it's 0-0 into the back half of the first period. And that's when Jansen Harkins gets his second of the year, second consecutive game for a goal by the Jets number 12 from Adam Lowry and Mikey Eyssimont. And all it is hard work. It's nothing flashy. It's Adam Lowry going in there. It's Mikey Eyssimont going in there on the forecheck and saying, I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm more talented than you. This is now my puck. And he gets it out front to Harkins, and it's a scramble, but that's fine. Harkins is in the dirty area. Lowry's done the dirty work. Eyssimont's done the dirty work, and the backhand gets past Peter Mrazek, and it's 1-0 for the Jets.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they needed, right? As you said, Drew, it would have changed the tenor of the game slightly if Chicago has that opening goal and they're feeling good about themselves. And, because they've been, like I said earlier to start the show, they had given up prior to tonight 7 straight games with the first goal against, and now this, I think it was 8, or it's either 8 and now 9. But the fact is that Chicago has had too many games of late start with them not getting that first goal and not allowing them to build some confidence, if you will. So I think that for sure would have maybe given this team, I mean, maybe not, because if you look at the Chicago Blackhawks, they're not a very good hockey team. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it really, to me, what it does is it gives a guy like Jansen Harkins, again, it reaffirms that everything he's doing is worth it. Everything he's, that he's done, the hard work, his willingness to, again, play whatever is asked of him. And sometimes the guy, like I said, I've said this before, guys need wake up calls sometimes. You get a little comfortable, you get a little, like I said, complacent in your role. You're thinking, okay, well, I've got a, you think, oh, guys might be hungry for a higher role, but you think I got a top 6 role. I'm good. I bottom 6 role. I'm good. And you get that wake up call. And it's, like I said, it's happened to a lot of Jets. And the beauty of it is it happens and they go down to the Moose. And again, they don't necessarily perform at the Moose. I mean, I remember, I think it was Adam Lowry when he was sent down, he did not do anything in the games that he was with Manitoba, at least nothing of significance. Or maybe it was Kopp. I can't remember. But both of them have had wake up calls where they were sent down and they said, whoa, I don't want to be back down here. I want to be back up there. I want to be with the big boys. I want to be, doing all the things that the Jets do. So that wake-up call is generally sufficient. And I wouldn't question Jansen Harkins' work ethic, because he is one of the hardest working players you'll ever see ever. But at the same time, sometimes you need a little bit of a jolt to the system. And I think that's what he's gotten as a result of, being sent down. And again, there's an opportunity, right? Morgan Barron had wrist surgery, so he's out since early November. And what happens? Jansen Harkins says, okay, well, here's a chance for me to jump in and produce. And, Frosty Winnipeg made the point in the chat, Drew, and I agree with him. What have we been talking about for a long time with this Jets club? The need for a balanced scoring. You're not going to get 7 goals every night, obviously, but the point is you need balanced scoring from that top 9. Yeah. Obviously your top two lines are going to be your big drivers. Yeah. But you need a third line that produces. We've been talking about this for years. You're not a checking line. This is not 1980s hockey. And that would be the, the fourth line. Well, the fourth line would be the thugs. But the fact of the matter is now you need a third line that produces, and you have to be able to get production out of the third line. And so again, we don't know if this is going to last for very much longer. I mean, maybe we'll see how it goes. Morgan Barron could be up on the third line soon enough. But for now, it appears that you've got a third line that's going to be able to produce. And that's what we saw in the first goal. And that's exactly what, again, it gives them, 2 straight games, as you said, for Jansen Harkins with a goal. And it gives Mikey Eyssimont, I mean, he's now got a goal and 2 assists. So he's feeling good about himself. Again, a guy who was confident. He told me whenever I talked to him, I think it was either in the summer when it's at the end of season or during training camp with the Moose, whatever it was. Point is, like I said, he felt like he could get a role with the Jets. He needed that opportunity. His agent, by the way, Scott Norton, he sure felt he needed the opportunity. He tweets all, all about Mikey Eyssimont all the time. But again, it's not untrue. You give a guy an opportunity, and now he's riding with it, or running with it, or skating with it. And now the Jets have themselves a 1-0 lead in Chicago. You're
absolutely right. The Jets make it, and that's how the first period ended, with the Jets up 1-0. A first period that they controlled, shots on goal 17-7. It was it was one-sided. because that's how it should be. You know, the Jets should control the play. They should have the puck on their stick, and they did. 74% of possession went to the Winnipeg Jets in the first period. I mean, that's not just, you know, one-sided. That's, you know, sizably one-sided. That's, you know, one team being significantly better than the other team, and that's what you saw there in that first period with the Jets having that 1-0 lead. So how do they respond in the second period? What happens in the second period to keep things going from the Winnipeg Jets perspective, to build on what they did in that first period? Well, it gets started with Saku Maenalainen, his second of the season. And as we talked about, he'd been struggling. This guy who's been looking for a goal. Morgan Barron, he's back in the lineup. He gets his 4th assist after he was injured. Dominic Toninato, he came into the lineup tonight with David Gustafsson out and Sam Gagner out. Well, Toninato gets his first assist on the year. And 2 minutes and 55 seconds into the second period, the Jets have that 2-0 lead, that all-important 2-0 lead, the all-important 2-goal lead to sort of affirm the good start they had in the first period, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Drew, like that's one of those role players we've talked about, and you could just see it, like the relief on Maenalainen's face when he is able to contribute. And we know, like we've talked about it, you can't just be in the lineup. You can't just do, you know, you're a really good PK specialist and you're a good forechecker, but you're not getting anything done. So you're not getting any results. And so, yeah, I mean, probably of all the players who needed to have a big game for the Winnipeg Jets, it probably was Saku Maenalainen, because as we talked about, he probably was, you know, the next man off the line. You know,
if Gustafsson is healthy for tonight's game, you know,
right.
then Maenalainen is, you know, or maybe Toninato doesn't get back in the lineup, but Maenalainen's, you know, job was probably a bit on the precipice. He might have been next guy to sit in the box or to sit in the press box. So
absolutely. So I just think, like, and I'm not criticizing his game because I like what he does. I just think that, again, you want to see some offensive contributions when you can have opportunities. And again, today, like a game like today is a perfect example where a guy can, you know, I think they said he on the broadcast he had one previous 2-goal outing maybe in the NHL with obviously with Carolina.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, how exciting would that if it would have been for? And he almost had the hat trick because he almost scored shorthanded. So how significant would that have been? But yeah, no, I mean, look, it's hard work, and you know, look, again, we're gonna couch a lot of what we say in it was the Chicago Blackhawks, and there's a reason why they're at the bottom of the roster, but sorry, the bottom of the standings. But again, at the same time, you still have to do things to put yourself into position. These guys, you know, have some elite goal scoring. They can play some defense, not amazing, but they can do some of it. And again, sometimes you can see a guy who can step up and play in net, who can stop, you know, end up, you know, frustrating you. Didn't happen tonight for the Blackhawks and against the Jets. But again, like I said, I like the fact that a guy like Maenalainen, who needed to have some sort of good feelings in, you know, reward to his game, gets it for Winnipeg, and they have a 2-0 lead.
You have a 2-0 lead, but it doesn't last long. It lasts a grand total of 17 seconds. Yeah. It's always that bounce back shift, that shift after a goal, a shift after you kill a penalty that tends to just always have some sort of newsy something going on in it. And in this case, the Blackhawks were able to cut it from 2-0 to 2-1. It's Taylor Radish, his 6th on the season, assessed Kurashev and Jake McCabe. And this one starts with a failed zone exit. You sort of you watch the replay, and Eyssimont probably should have been able to clear the puck here or do a little bit more with it than he did. He just sort of pushed it up the boards, and McCabe keeps it in, and then it gets put back down low, and there's a bit of a goal mouth scramble, and you know, you don't really love, you know, you got to tie up a stick, I think, a little bit better there, but Radish, you know, bangs it past Connor Hellebuyck, and the Blackhawks have a little bit of life. I didn't, you know, had it been 2-0 and probably stayed 2-0 for a while, I wouldn't have got the impression that, you know, a team like Chicago, once they're down by a couple goals, they sort of know they're done. You know, unless they're getting an immediate goal pretty quickly thereafter, you know, to give themselves some life. I mean, they know what they are. They know the uphill climb. They know that they're not suited for that. So credit to them here in cutting the Jets lead back in half to that 2-1 margin. You know, with, you know, just a bit into the second period, a little more than 3 minutes into the second period.
Yeah, and again, I think it's one of those things that you're just continuing to. It's not an ideal. And remember, Drew, because not only did they give up that goal 17 seconds after, but then they gave up a chance right off the face-off, where DeMello, you know, kind of got caught on the blue line, and Connor Hellebuck was forced to make a big save. Otherwise, you're suddenly going a 2-0 game. You're feeling good about yourself, and you're thinking, okay, we've got this. And instead, it's suddenly 2-2. So, yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, and I think it's kind of one of those things that you always. I think it's a wake up call because it shows you always have to respect your opponent, and that's one of those things that sometimes you often say you look past your opponent. And now suddenly you've got that second goal. You feel like, oh, the dam's about to burst.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly they counter punch you. They punch you in the mouth and they say, well, we can still throw a punch or two, so maybe stay awake. So I think that's kind of what happened in Winnipeg. I think that maybe they were feeling good about themselves and they were reading the press headlines before the game was quite over.
Fair enough. But again, to their credit, they don't let it become a problem. Mm-hmm. Then we get into some penalty situations here. At this point in the game, Morgan Barron is in the box for hooking, so the Hawks have a power play opportunity. Can they equalize? Can they tie the game on the power play? Well, no, they can't, because the Jets penalty kill does a pretty good job. And then Seth Jones takes a tripping penalty to make it a 4-on-4 situation. It's going to be a 4-on-4 situation. And then the Jets are going to get a brief power play. Well, it doesn't take that 4-on-4 situation only lasts 9 seconds because, brother do what brother does. Caleb Jones takes a hooking penalty in the in the defensive zone after the Jets had some pressure 4-on-4 right off the face-off there, if I'm not mistaken. And all of a sudden, it's the rare sort of 4-on-3 power play for the Winnipeg Jets that quickly becomes a 5-on-3 power play with the Barron penalty expiring. And the Winnipeg Jets, haven't necessarily been crisp 5-on-3 this year, but they were here when they just said, okay, Kyle Connor, you unleash one of your rockets, and see what's going to happen. And what happened was it beat Peter Mrazek, and it was a 5-on-3 power play goal, and made it back to being 3-1 for the Jets at the 8:37 mark of the second period. Connor's 8th assist to Josh Morrissey. Of course, it was an assist to Josh Morrissey. And Blake Wheeler also gets an assist on the play, his 11th on the season. Kyle Connor is whatever slump he was in. The slump is dead. Long live the Colonel, as I think I saw Scott Billick refer to him on Twitter.
Yeah, well, he's got 6 goals in his last 6 games, and what do you have? 2 in his first 14. So he's feeling good about himself, and the Jets are always feeling good when 81 is scoring. I put it in the post game recap, but he surpassed one of the all-time favorite Winnipeg Jets, of course, in Dustin Byfuglien with his total, not just on that goal, but his total points production. He moved into sole possession of 4th place in Jets 2.0 history with with 364 points. Kyle Connor, Mr. Even Steven, 186 goals, 178 assists. So he just gets it done. And yeah, you're right, Drew. I mean, I was trying to keep up with the Josh Morrissey because it was like, oh man, it's gonna be one of those nights where Josh Morrissey's just gonna contribute. And obviously he did quite a bit. He's on pace for 75 assists right now. So quite a significant tripling of what his career high was previously.
Yeah. You can follow Dave at IC Dave as he's constantly updating the what's on Josh Morrissey on pace for ticker. In fact, I think that's now his full-time job. So congratulate Dave on that new employment opportunity. Saku Manalainen, he gets his 2nd of the game, his 3rd of the season. Josh Morrissey with another assist. Dylan DeMello, who's on a point scoring binge, he also gets an assist on this one.
Still questioning that one. I don't understand.
I know. You'll see if it
should be Morgan Barron. Should have been his 2nd assist. Yeah. And Morrissey should have the secondary assist. And with all due respect to Dylan DeMello and that amazing stash, I don't see how he got the assist. He would get what our friend Craig Button would call the critical 4th assist.
Right.
Or 3rd assist, sorry.
It hasn't been updated on NHL.com yet. So for the
That's fair. No, I'm not calling you out, Drew. I'm just saying
it
doesn't really make a lot of logical sense.
I agree.
But like I said, you can't really see it on the wall. So for right now, we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, for the purposes of the Betway game recap, the official NHL.com score sheet game summary is what we use for those who are wondering how we made the sausage behind the scene here. I could go for some sausage, but I suppose that's separate from this right now. Hi, Dark Moon. I will smile and wave at you. I'm a little busy trying to do all this sort of thing, but rest assured, everybody, not just Dark Moon, that I if I'm unable to acknowledge you, personally, I am smiling smiling and waving at all of you. I'm smiling and
Internally.
internally at all hundreds of you that are watching this live Illegal Curve post-game show. We always appreciate the support. So I am smiling and waving and greeting you internally as we get through these goals. Mattalainen, his third assist to Morrissey, assist to DeMello, maybe with a question mark, but beauty shot by Mattalainen here. I mean, this is just you sort of forget every now and then when you watch these games over and over and over and over again that, just how talented the fourth line players on the worst teams are, that they're more talented than probably anything you've ever seen in real life most of the time. When you take them out of the situation of being in the game, and Mattalainen had some time and he had some space. And he had a rocket of a shot here, and he beats Peter Mrazek, and it's just an absolutely beautiful goal, reminiscent of another former Finnish sniper, one or two of them, I suppose, that once played for the Winnipeg Jets. Just a beauty goal by Mattalainen, and this is the goal. This is the 4-1 goal that ended the game, as far as I'm concerned. And at no point in time when the Jets went up 4-1 did I think that, okay, Chicago's going to get back into this one, or Chicago's, got another push left in them, and they did, cut it by a goal again. But 4-1 to me is I can start, if you follow me on Twitter, I can start tweeting about the new MPI commercial, Geeks in the Back.
By the way, that is just terrible. Sorry, Drew.
But you remember the original Geeks in the Back, don't you?
Trust me, I do. Okay. And it should be left not as a distant memory. That commercial is let me disclaim this. Driving safe is important. I will say that right now.
Yes, don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive.
One of the rules of Illegal Curve.
Yes, that's true. But I will say this: that commercial is, and it's funny because I, of course, had to say it on. I said it on my Twitter. People were loving that because I think people will agree with me. But it is, and then someone, I think it was fans of the Winnipeg Jets, tweeted back at me and they said, and I agree with them. They said Winnipeg wouldn't be Winnipeg without terrible commercials. And if they went back to, what was that guy for the what was that thing? The chop thing?
Well, that wasn't a Winnipeg commercial.
No, I know, but no, they're not saying they're Winnipeg based.
Are you talking about the Sticky?
The Sticky guy, yeah. But anyways, the point is that they're not saying that they have to be Winnipeg based. That I know is obviously that's a Manitoba based commercial, and it is atrocious. First of all, the only what's their line about Kubasa? Like, it's like enough, okay? Like, I understand. Believe me, I know what that is. I'm just suggesting the commercial's terrible.
Well, and look, we're building an empire here that's largely based
we
on
know what
bad commercials.
Yeah, like we know about commercials, folks. Don't try and tell us about what's a good commercial, what's a bad commercial. You want to see a good commercial, watch our Grid Park commercial. That's going to be working. That's going to be winning whatever. What do they give for commercials? Is there like an award for commercials, Drew? Well, there's got to be something.
I don't know if you ever went.
Well, maybe we'll win a Razzie for ours.
Well, I don't know if you ever go to the WAG usually does that sort of the world's best of commercials for the year.
I suspect you and I will be winning for our Grid Park.
I assume undoubtedly we've already been nominated.
Yes,
but you do see those they play them. I think once a year they sort of come through.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And
they're really entertaining. Like the really good ads are fantastic.
True. Obviously, the Grid Park ad is a work of art. Come on.
It is. I mean, between the Grid Park ad and all the other ads, and of course, I mean, Ginsburg's still under that poor piano. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, these are classic ads. But Dave, not a fan of Geek in the Back. Me, glad Geek in the Back is back in our lives. But that's terrible. Okay. The commercial clearly is doing its job because we just spent a number.
Maul, actually, sorry, I got to give Maul credit though here, and we'll get back. Nobody segues like Illegal Curve, but I'm going to get us back quickly. But I just have to highlight Maul's thing because this is probably the appropriate thing for us to win an Ezzy Award. That is probably what we can win. That is something that would be relevant. So maybe we'll aspire to win an Ezzy Award. But let's get back to the game. Let's rein it back in here.
Okay, fair enough. So Mattalainen makes it 4-1 for the Jets. Blackhawks make it 4-2. Jujhar Khaira, his third of the year, comes on the power play here. It's coming off the end boards to make it 4-2. But the Jets, and you can touch on it, but you can sort of combine it with the Jets goal. And again, this is the response that you like to see. Chicago scores, the Jets quickly score again right afterwards. And it's got to be demoralizing for a team like Chicago, who are just, fighting tooth and nail just to sort of keep their head above water. And just when they think that the life preserver is just out of reach, it's just over there, the Jets come and they drop an anvil on the poor guys as they're trying to swim to safety. If you want to go with a drowning analogy, I guess is what I decided to go with tonight.
I was thinking Wile E. Coyote, like dropping an anvil.
Sure, fine. That's fine as well. I'm really tired. So the fact that I'm keeping it together and making some amount of sense is, I think, in and of itself, a bit of an accomplishment. Scheifele on even strength, assist to Wheeler and Perfetti. And boy, this is sort of vintage Scheifele and Wheeler, a little callback from a few years ago when they were both, or when, Wheeler was, a peak performer. I mean, Blake, I was following along on Twitter, some of the conversations, and there's some insight there, and he's saying, look, one thing that Blake Wheeler still is, he's obviously a step slower than he used to be. He's obviously, not the player that he once was. He's still an elite passer in getting guys into high danger zones. And that's what this is. This is a pass to Mark Scheifele in the highest of high danger areas. And it takes such an incredible amount of skill on Wheeler's part to make this pass. And look, Wheeler still has his critics, but the way Blake Wheeler's playing and the way this team is playing, I think he deserves some praise for handling the demotion as professionally as he has done so far this year. And he himself just seems freer and enjoying this a lot more than the last number of years, where I believe the captaincy and the allegedly leadership moniker had become more of a burden than anything else on him.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. Sorry, Drew. And I think one of the things we saw in that pass was absolutely like a vintage Blake Wheeler. I mean, it's a no look. It's just absolutely, he's got everybody thinking he's shooting, and then he finds Mark Scheifele, and those two have great chemistry. And I really I actually like the way the lines are flipped, because I actually like Cole Perfetti with Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler, and I like Kyle Connor with Pierre-Luc Dubois. So I actually think that that's a better composition for the Winnipeg Jets structurally than it is with the other way around, with Connor with the other guys. So, or with Wheeler, however it is. I like this incarnation as it's currently constructed. But look, it's Mark Scheifele's first goal in 6 games. So you want to get 55. He's engaged in the games and he's been playing well, but he's a goal scorer and he's a producer. And that's what you need Mark Scheifele to be doing. And again, you want to have everyone contributing. You want to, it's a team game, and you need all 4 lines to have a piece of the action, as they say. But I thought that from what like I said, from what I saw, Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, they do seem to have that kind of chemistry back. And I think Cole Perfetti is benefiting from what he's seeing with those two. And it results in a goal. And you're right, that was the 4-1 goal was essentially the death knell, but the 5-2 goal was like, just, we're gonna finish this one out, but this game is decided.
Exactly right. It was decided at that point in time, but the Jets decided to just sort of sprinkle a little bit more on top in the third period, because the third period again, Chicago wasn't coming back, but Pierre-Luc Dubois decided he wanted to get in on some of the fun here. Yeah, and he starts it off at the 4:37 mark, hits his 9th of the year, assist to Kyle Connor, and this is just you sort of have to feel a little bit bad for Chicago, because it looks like they're about to score here. It looks like they're about to score a goal. And instead, Kyle Connor just sort of, scoops the puck off the goal line or out of the danger zone, and he just takes off like a rocket up the left-hand side of the ice. So the goalie's right, he's going, but he's going on the viewer's left if you're watching on TV. And then he just stops on a dime. I mean, just to jam on the brakes like he does, and leaves it for Dubois. And Dubois, it doesn't look like it's going to be necessarily be anything there. It doesn't look like it's going to be, a dangerous situation. But Dubois' pass goes towards the front of the net, and then it just deflects off Philip Roos and past Peter Mrazek. And you can just sort of see them all look up to this guy like, oh God, it's going to be a long year. How many more games? We have another 61 games of this. Holy shit, how are we going to make it through this? That's all what they're thinking. They're like, this is the most miserable thing I've ever experienced. They got a good paycheck for it, so it's not that miserable. But that's just, Kyle Connor's just speed. and Pierre-Luc Dubois, smart play, and just, good things happen when you're playing well and you're putting pucks towards the net, and, cliche, but it's it's 6-2 for the Jets at this point in time. They've got the unconverted touchdown after this Dubois goal.
Yeah, and that was the one that pushed Kyle Connor ahead of Dustin Byfuglien into sole possession of fourth place on the all-time points list. And the only thing I don't understand, and I'm going to say the only thing controversial probably about that one play, was how did Connor Hellebuyck, who made the save, not get an assist? Because he would have actually been the last player to touch it before Connor scooped it out of the net, because he did make the save, so he had possession of the puck. And then, like I said, then they get the goal. So I would have thought that, Connor Hellebuyck would have gotten an assist at least, Drew, but I don't think that I think that would give him 10 points, which would move him ahead of a fair number of players. It's always funny whenever I look at the all-time lists, which
what do you do? Do you have a beautiful mind sort of chalkboard, set up at home where you're keeping track of things?
Please, Drew. I'll give credit where credit is due. Quant Hockey and Hockey Reference. Those are my two references for stats for the Jets, and Quant Hockey has a good one for the Jets 2.0, which I look at, and then Hockey Reference has a good Jets Thrashers combined one. So those are the ones I tend to use if I'm looking for the stats on Jets players throughout the course of a game.
You are a man of many talents is all I can say about you, Mr. Manuk. You're a man of many talents.
Okay, well.
So
wait, I wasn't. So you just went through.
Sorry, okay.
Well, no, I mean, again, I think you want a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois feeling good, right? And he's now. And it was funny because on the broadcast, it seemed pretty clear, and that's the benefit, of course, of watching a game on TV versus live, because all of our friends who are in the press box in Chicago are trying to figure out who scored. They're saying it's Scheifele and Dubois, but it seemed, like I said, we saw it on the replay on the broadcast that it seemed pretty clear that it was Dubois who got that goal.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Dubois, his 10th of the year assist to Josh Morrissey. Morrissey with 3 assists tonight. I mean, it's just, he's just piling it on. Kyle Connor, he had a goal and 2 assists tonight. Dubois had 2 goals. I mean, this is just one of those, stat padding kind of nights. And it's always interesting. I was thinking about, the Jets goals for, goals against differential. And it was pretty impressive, entering the Minnesota game. And then obviously the Minnesota game happened and it went down significantly. And now you think back to, and then the Jets sort of needed a game like tonight to get that goal differential. Not that goal differential is the be all and end all, but it's certainly back up to a plus 10 margin after tonight's victory over the Chicago Blackhawks. And you sort of think, well, let's think, if it hadn't been for the 3 goals against Carolina, the goal differential would have been, maybe add another 2 there, then the goal difference, given what happened in Dallas, maybe add 1 there or another 2 there or something like that. I guess it ended +1 in Dallas, and that's probably where it would have been had the Hellebuyck goal not been, had been properly disallowed, as we think it would have been. Anyways, whatever, if you put a lot of stock in goal differential, this is kind of when the situation happens where, one game, begins to maybe impact it a little bit. But nevertheless, it's a 7-2 victory. The Jets convert the touchdown. They give up a safety, but that's all it was. 7-2, the Jets defeat the Chicago Blackhawks tonight in the Windy City. This has been the Betway game recap, brought to you, of course, by Betway, the official title sponsor of the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. When we come back, we are going to do the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. We're going to do the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. So get ready for that. I haven't seen any guesses yet in the chat room. I usually
someone, I think it was Alan, already gave me a kind of a cocky. He already got it, I think. So okay. I can check right now to see if anybody. Hold on, let's do this. Let's do a live reveal, Drew. I'll see if anybody's figured it out in advance of the reveal. We'll see how good my we got 2.
Wow, 2 people.
2 people who had some insight into the way the beautiful mind of Dave M works. So well done to those 2. Actually, I can even tell you who those 2 are, but I suspect we're going to figure out it's going to be Alan and somebody else. But anyways, we can if you want, you can go to commercial and I'll tell you on the way on the other side.
Okay, we'll do that on the way back, and we'll touch on this upcoming Tuesday's game against Colorado. We'll look ahead to that a little bit, and of course, we'll talk about the Connor Hellebuyck.
No, sorry, it was Frosty. Well done, Frosty, and Kenneth Gardner, who I believe resides in North Dakota. So Kenneth, way to go, Kenneth, and way to go, Frosty.
Excellent job. Well done, people, guessing the Illegal Curve unique code word of the day. If you haven't guessed it yet, stay tuned. We're going to tell you what it is. You don't even have to guess it. We're just going to show it. It'll be right on the bottom of your screen. You don't even have to do that much to it. Much more to come is what we're saying. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's Sunday night. Drew
Smash
Mandel,
the like button.
Smash the like button. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk with you. We're live on YouTube. We're live on all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. We're back Sunday evening, 9:30 p.m. Of course, Tuesdays is the next Illegal Curve post-game show after the Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. The Jets back at home on Tuesday to face the defending Stanley Cup champions. Dave M., I have a question for you. I joined the show when the show started. I wasn't here chatting with the good people like you often are during the intermission.
Not a man of the people like I am.
I'm not a man of the people. I was putting my children
and it's reflective in the numbers, Drew.
Clearly it must be. So you've started some sort of poll. Is that what I'm led to believe?
I did start a poll. I was asked by our friend Rob, who he wanted to be in charge of the
Rob
polls.
doesn't like me. Rob doesn't like me.
For the record, Drew, don't immediately just blame someone else for your poor standing, because it has nothing to do with Rob. So leave poor innocent Rob. I will defend all the people in the chat, because as I said, I am a man of the people, being a North Ender, unlike Drew, South Ender. Just pointing that out. So the point is,
I'm still a good person, marginally good person,
okay, better. So the point is,
tolerable
Rob,
person.
That's even better. So the point is that Rob had said,
good person.
Bang on. So that Rob had suggested, person. So Rob had suggested that we do a poll, and I was kind of looking down and thinking to myself, how does one do a poll? So I, quickly looked at the thing, and I was like, oh, that's actually rather easy. So I thought, what should be the first Illegal Curve poll? And of course, the first Illegal Curve poll was, who is your favorite member of Illegal Curve? Because that's what Ezzy and I like to ask everyone. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be Dave? Is it going to be Drew?
No.
Is it going to be Ezzy? Or is it going to be none of the above? Well, currently in first place.
None of the above. None of the above.
I see Dave. That's safe. Man of the people, Drew.
Bullshit.
That's
is this
why.
Scientifically double?
Well, it's probably also helps that I drive around. I give people, Drew. I give people their jerseys. I show up at their houses. Yeah. You could learn. I talk to people during the intermission.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a friendly person. I know all the names of everyone at Canada Life.
Did I beat none of the above at least?
You did not, in fact. Actually, none of the above is currently sitting second place.
Did I beat Ginsburg?
Followed by Ginsburg.
Oh my gosh.
And you're currently in last. So hey,
well, I hope
Drew,
my
that's
kids
good.
Still like me.
Your kids still like you, your wife still likes you. And the truth is there's still a lot of people who like you as well. You just have to, and the truth is, remember, I can fall back. You can only go up. In theory, you could still technically go down.
I'm pretty sure I could lose as long as I got some votes. I could lose those votes.
Yeah, that's
if I got no votes, then I suppose I can only go up. It's I could be like maybe if
Drew, Rob is suggesting that we do ranked choice. So in theory, if your first choice doesn't win, the way they do it in Alaska. So we'll see about that. But anyways. We appreciate everyone having fun.
Bailey saying that I'm Winston from New Girl, and I don't know if that's a compliment or if that's an insult.
I don't know.
I'm going to assume based on the poll results, it's an insult.
Phyllis, for the record, we appreciate that. She abstained from the vote.
Yeah,
she abstained from the vote. Some people, and for the record, Drew, just so you know, some people did take umbrage with me with the idea that I didn't choose all of the above.
Yeah, why not?
I said none of the above. I went negative. I could have gone positive and said all of the above as well.
Okay, well. Fair enough. Now at least I know where I have to improve on. I mean, I have many things I have to improve on in life. We'll just add this to the list and I'll get around to it just as soon as I can. But I love all of you. That's the important part. You might not love me, but I love you. And that's we appreciate you joining us here on the Illegal Curve post.
Hey, your boy Mitch says, Drew, you're a great host. He just says there's a tough job wrangling Ezzy and I, Ezzy obviously not here tonight, but that is true. We love to give each other, look, and just to be clear, we love to dump on each other and we have a great time doing it.
That's my favorite part. Sometimes, we'll be reading, we'll go onto our iTunes page or whatever, and we'll read some of the comments. Like, there's a lot of, the hosts are sort of mean to each other. We don't quite understand what's happening. I'm like, folks, I can assure you from, if we didn't all love each other, me, Dave, Ezzy, if we all didn't have this platonic love for each other, we this enterprise of ours, this paper mache castle of ours would have collapsed a long time ago. So when it seems like we're being a little bit mean to each other, it's done with nothing but the utmost of love for one another deep down in our hearts, and this is how we sort of express that love. So just for the record, in case anyone was ever saying to you they don't really seem to like each other, well, it's all done as part of the shtick that makes us us. Kenny and Rennie, on the other hand, I thought were going to
moly. I didn't know what happened. I honestly, I was reading, in the conversation I was having with people during the intermission. People are talking about Kenny and Rennie, and I'm like, I better go check for myself. What exactly happened? Now, I love my boy Rennie.
Yeah,
he's a little out on his own on this one. I think he's a little, he's a man alone on an island with his Connor Hellebuck take, I think, and hopefully. Maybe he's had some sobering second thoughts and changed his mindset on that one. You'll have to tune into Kenny Rennie, not yet, but you'll go join them after you do the Illegal Curve post game show. You can go to the post game show with those two. But yeah, those two were heated. They were having a quite the exchange on their show. So we don't really hit that level of anger, I guess. But hey, good for them. Got people going.
Yeah, it certainly is. So then we're talking about they're talking about the Hellebuck thing on H-Nick, and I'll go to my grave calling it H-Nick. I don't care what any of you have to say.
Hey, there's some
And,
people
and
talking. There were some people enjoying the H Nick stuff.
yeah, I know it's.
Although I think it was Bailey who said "Good morning, D. Rue" and D. Ave. So I like that.
Yeah, there you go. Anyways, that's what's going on here in Illegal Curve land. Illegal Curve merchandise contest. We were mentioning the word of the day, the unique code for the IC contest.
Only two
And
have
I
it.
know some of you are saying, because I'm going to have to rehash this, like I do all the time, how do we enter the Illegal Curve contest? What is the Illegal Curve contest? Well, the Illegal Curve contest is an opportunity for you to win some great prizes, courtesy of us at Illegal Curve, some Winnipeg Jets merchandise. Sometimes it's jerseys, sometimes it's hats, sometimes it's t-shirts, sometimes it's other things that we have at our avail. So the way to do that and the way to enter the contest is to go to the contest page. To click the link to get to the contest page. It's in the show description. It's on our website. You can't miss it. Just go into the show description, go to the website, open up basically any post on the website. You'll see the contest, a link to the contest page. Tonight, you can enter the unique code for bonus entries, and then we're going to randomly draw a name on Tuesday night for the next winner. Bonus entries for tonight can be entered. The unique code is Magnificent Mile. Magnificent Mile is the unique code for the Illegal Curve contest. All one word, all caps. Is where you're at right now. So enter that unique code for the IC contest right now, Magnificent Mile, and you'll get extra entries to win for the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. And of course, we do have a winner for tonight's contest.
And Drew, just so you should answer just before you get to that. Rob Mahoney's asking is the unique code word the same for all the contests? He should know though, because he's usually here. The unique code word is not the same, and you don't need to be a subscriber to win. But don't force me to put my thumb on the scale if I don't think that you're a subscriber. So you don't have to be a Mal is worried about spelling it. Well, that's okay. It's some people have already spelled it out in the chat, so you can copy and paste that, or just type in Magnificent Mile Chicago. Of course, folks who've been to Chicago know the great shopping along the Magnificent Mile. I was going to go with the Bean because, of course, that's another Chicago landmark. But whatever, I went with the Magnificent Mile. But anyways, I was just going to say, so you don't have to be a subscriber. You can just go to our, as Drew just said, go to the website, illegalcurve.com, and pregame reports or the morning papers. There's always a link to it. It's under gleam.io, and then you can enter to win that way. So you don't have to be a subscriber, but all you have to do is enter your name and your email, and I think it's your age, and then then you're entered essentially.
Exactly right. And the merchandise contest winner after the random draw, Dave M. Why don't you announce the winner?
I knew you were going to throw me under the bus because you said I thought you were going to read it, Drew.
I think it's Dean Tokarski. I mean, there might be I might be mispronouncing it with the IW in there. I'm going to go with Tokarski and hope the IW is.
You're going for the whole Dustin Tokarski thing, but see, that's why I don't quite have the same feelings as that one.
We're going to go with Dean T. Dean T. Congratulations,
yes. Dean T. You're the winner.
You're the winner. So that Dave and I don't hopefully butcher your last name. You're the winner of the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Dave M. will be in touch with you accordingly to arrange the delivery of your prize, either by Dave M in person, which allows him to cheat in these random polls that he's created, or via mail, depending on how far away you may live. So congratulations to Dean. You are the winner of the Illegal Curve merchandise contest for tonight's game. Dave, we'll do the tough.com contest in a minute or two. Just looking ahead to Tuesday. With the Colorado
Drew, just to quickly, I just want to, I don't know if you saw the thing about David Gustafson. So Scott Billick of the Winnipeg Sun reporting that, obviously through the conversation with Rick Bowness, it's an upper body injury, but it's not thought to be serious, according to Rick Bowness. So just a little update on the Jets center, who was potentially, I think he was considered a game time decision. He had treatment today in Chicago, and that was the reason why he was held out. Ultimately, it was because he had an upper body injury. Sorry, go ahead.
I hope that I hope that it's not anything that keeps him out for long, and it doesn't sound like it will be, because I think he's been playing his best hockey of the year. It's probably his best hockey as an NHL player last few games. Yeah. That his stick work and his defensive positioning is already just so exceptional. but his stick work and his forechecking is also just you can see him gaining confidence game after game after game. So for the Jets perspective, and just from my own viewership perspective, I hope he's not out of the lineup for a long time. Tuesday's game, Colorado Avalanche coming to town. I've seen some people say it's a measuring stick game. It's a measuring stick game. I mean, I don't know if any one individual game in the course of an NHL season is a measuring stick game, but I do think it's a significant game on Tuesday night against the defending Stanley Cup champions. You beat them once earlier in the year. Colorado wasn't playing like Colorado earlier in the year. Yeah. Nonetheless, you got the win. You remember Mason Appleton had probably his best game as a member of the Winnipeg Jets in that victory. How much how much importance do you put in Tuesday's game, or is it sort of just another game on the calendar against a divisional opponent, and then by virtue of it being a divisional opponent, it's got a little more importance attached?
That's right. It always has a little bit of oomph, and the truth is that you want to maintain your position in the standings right now, and you don't want to allow Colorado to gain, what could be an important. You're not looking. I agree, Drew. You're not going to say, well, this is going to be a critical game, and it's going to determine the way the Jets are feeling about themselves. But it's absolutely a measuring stick game because you're playing against one of the best teams in the NHL, and obviously they started off a little bit slow. But ultimately, to me, it's always very hard because one games are not. There's a reason why playoffs are series. To me, that's the most critical difference, and that's why we always talk about sample size. It's very hard to make any sort of one determination based on one game sample, right? Because of course, Colorado could. I mean, again, we've been focused on the Jets and we've been focused on Chicago, and we'll turn the page tomorrow and we'll start to look at what's going on with Colorado. But I have no idea about their lineup composition right now. Like, I don't know if they're missing any guys. I don't have any sort of particular insight into the Colorado Avalanche.
They're banged up. I mean,
I knew. That's what I mean. Like, I have a vague knowledge. Like, I know that. But look, the Jets are banged up too, right? Sure, and both teams are missing some key players. So that also factors into how this game is gonna look and how you measure the contest. But no, I mean, I think fans are going to be excited. It's Tuesday night. The Jets and the Moose have been out of town for a little bit of time, and now you've got Winnipeg coming back. Of course, the Moose are going to be playing that Thursday 11 o'clock game. That's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, but that should be, downtown Winnipeg. I think they're calling it the
students game or the school game.
Well,
right?
It's the first one ever, by the way. I thought it was the first one ever in 2.0 history, but it's actually, I was talking to Daniel Fink, who's of course the play-by-play voice of the Manitoba Moose today, and he was telling me it's actually the first one ever in history for the franchise. So that should be a lot of fun. That the kids, let me tell you, kids are the best at hockey games. They are the best. They're first of all, if you think adults are bloodthirsty, kids kill adults. It's hilarious. A fight happens when I'm watching, like, especially I watch those Moose usually road games, and they're playing in like Chicago, or they'll play Rockford, or they'll play Milwaukee. And as soon as a fight breaks out, kids go T. Konopali's in the chat. He's excited. But as soon as the fight breaks out, wait a second. Is there time for a Manuk Moose Minute? Have we not done one since? Wait a second. But I'm just trying to think. Well, I know you have to go to bed, but wait a second. I'm trying to think. Was there a Moose game before yesterday?
They won on Saturday. The Moose won.
No, I know, but no, I understand that.
We did the Moose Minute on Saturdays Illegal Curve Hockey Show. The Moose.
Oh, right. I forgot. The Moose were yes. Never mind. Okay. I got excited, Drew.
I know.
Wait a second. There was a Moose game. Drew, there was a Moose game yesterday, though.
That's what I
Saturday
said.
Night.
I know.
Yeah, but we didn't talk. We haven't done a Moose Minute though.
I know you haven't. You can talk about it now if you want. Just get on with it. Is all.
Well, I will, Drew, but I can't do it until.
I know.
Can't do it.
Ginsburg made the right decision in taking the show off.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Manuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Well, Drew, I mean, if you're going to insist on me doing a Manuk Moose Minute, I guess I'll give the people and yourself what you want, which is just that. And the Moose were
over here instead.
Yeah, hey Drew, you can kick back and relax and do what you got to do. But the Moose were in Grand Rapids to conclude their 5-game road trip against the Griffins, having lost the first game of the series. And the Moose have done what they've consistently done all season long when they've lost game one of a series, is win the second game. And started with Greg Morales scoring kind of a chip shot goal. The Griffins managed to tie it. I think it was 1-1. And then Alex Limoges, he got the game-winning goal, turned out to be, with a nice little tic-tac-toe play to make it 2-1. And then Declan Chisholm scored a beauty goal on the power play on a pass by Chaz Lucius and I've got it on my Twitter. I've got it on, I don't know if I put it on the Illegal Curve Instagram, but it was just a rocket of a shot by the 2018 fifth rounder. And then something that Jets fans can pay a lot of attention to, it was Jeff Malott actually being able to conclude a exactly. Thank you, T-Kona. And Jeff Malott being able to conclude the 6-on-5 opportunity for, against the Griffins by scoring actually a pretty hardworking empty net goal. I usually don't highlight them, but he actually worked hard. That was his 7th of the season. So he made it 4-1 for the Moose, and they would go on to win and defeat the Griffins. They improved to 9-5-2 on the season. They're feeling good about themselves. Brad Lambert didn't play in the game. I'm not certain why he didn't play. Cole Meyer still out. Leon Gavanke still out. One thing we should mention, of course, with Morgan Barron coming back into the lineup, Ville Heinola was reassigned back to the Moose. So they got Ville Heinola back with Manitoba, which is good because like I said, they're banged up. And they'll be home for a pair of games against the Milwaukee Admirals, their hated rival, who beat them on this road trip. So they'll be looking for a measure of revenge on Thursday at 11 a.m. And yeah, I'll mention the Ice as well, Frosty. The Ice, too, they split their series. It's not something we're used to seeing with the Ice.
They've lost like 2 games in short order. That's
relatively speaking. They won 2. They'd won 2. They lost to Lethbridge, then they beat Lethbridge, and they concluded the homestand. And then they went out to Saskatoon. They won the first game against Saskatoon and then lost yesterday. So the Ice 22-3-0-0. So I don't think anybody's writing them off just yet. They'll be okay. And that's the other hockey report that we tend to do on the post game shows occasionally. So it was a very brief. Drew, I tried to be respectful. I know you're tired. I know you're exhausted.
I'm a little tired.
I know. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's a reason why. Dave M. Rising to the top, folks. Rising to the top.
Muzzle tough on your accomplishments there, Mr. Minuk.
I'll take it any day of the week.
Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. We're going to give it out tonight to Max Chapelaz, and I may or may not be pronouncing that correctly. He says, I would like to point out that Wheels, Blake Wheeler, has looked great so far. He is clearly not meant to be playing with Scheifele anymore, but playing with PLD, he has looked great. He is thriving without the captaincy. I agree, especially with that last comment. He does seem like he is a bit reborn without the captaincy. Obviously, he's, take the salary out of the equation because that's not his fault, and that's not something that, he should be held against. The Jets signed him to that deal. I would have signed that deal. You would have signed that deal in terms of from Wheeler's perspective. And he does look like he's a lot more freer out there. So, Max, congratulations. Send me an email, drew@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs @ICDrew. Send me your mailing address when you do so, and our friends at Tough Duck will ship you out a toque. That does it for the Illegal Curve post-game show on this Sunday night. A big thank you to all of you for joining us. The chat was clearly quite lively.
Awesome.
I think I missed a lot of it earlier when I wasn't in it during the game, but that's okay. I still love you, as we've all touched on. I love each and every one.
Max is in the chat, support. Just so you know. Max is very excited.
Still awesome. Great to get. So
let's go.
There you go, let's go. Congratulations, Maxwell. You send me that message and we'll send you out that toque. We appreciate that. Thank you to all of you for joining us here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Also want to thank our sponsors. They make the post-game show, the Saturday show, the website a possibility. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club sold out all last week at Rumors. Going to be another busy week ahead. Our good friend Benji Rothman performing Tuesday, Wednesday, and then from the CBC, him from the debaters, Steve Patterson is going to be in town Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Tickets available, rumorscomedyclub.com. Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, they're the official title sponsor of this here post-game show. Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, The Keg. All of these fine, excellent companies have allowed us to make ridiculous commercials on their behalf. Think about that, folks. Think about how you need to support these companies so that they support us, so that we can continue to make ridiculous commercials where geeks aren't in the back, the geeks are on the screen. That's important for everybody. Support these fine businesses for that reason and their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Tuesday night is the next Illegal Curve post-game show, right around 9:45 after the Jets and the Colorado Avalanche back here on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave us comments after the show. Leave the comments in the video. Leave us comments on the podcast page. Leave us comments in our Twitter @Illegal Curve. Leave us comments on our Instagram @Illegal Curve. Leave us comments on our Facebook page. Leave us comments on the website, illegalcurve.com. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the feedback. And even though I'm apparently in dead last, I appreciate you for joining us. Dave Manouk is over there. I'm your host, Drew Mandel, until Tuesday at 9:45 p.m. We thank you for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show. We wish you good night and good luck.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.